And welcome everybody to today's exciting episode.
Esmeralda, have you had your chamomile tea and did you plant the lavender in the veranda?
Whatever was that from?
I have no idea. Just came out. I thought I'd
doing that classic British impression.
Yeah, I thought I'd go like the Downton Abbey kind of route.
Okay.
So that's my posh lady voice.
Posh lady voice.
That's right. I'm a lady.
Member of the gentry.
Yes.
Yeah. Well done. Okay, so let's dive straight in. What are we covering today, Josh?
Today, my friend, we are doing the Shroud of Turin.
The Turin Shroud.
Yes, I call it the Shroud of Turin because Turin Shroud sounds like Star Wars. So
it does.
You must go to Tatooine and find Turin Shroud.
And take it to the Dagobah system.
Yes, find the Kyber crystal. Yeah, it sounded a bit like that. So Shroud of Turin, Turin Shroud, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, well, I guess, no, I don't. I know a little bit of the Shroud of Turin. Legend has it was the wrapping that they buried Jesus in. Is that correct?
It is indeed. And where you will come in handy is the religious knowledge, as your father is a minister.
He is.
So you will know more about the Christian religion than I will. Okay. So yes, the Shroud of Turin is a length of linen cloth that bears a faint image of the front and back of a man believed to be Jesus Christ himself.
Yes.
Like you said, a burial. He was supposedly buried in the shroud.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not particularly noticeable from what my memory. It's probably 30 years since I've seen a documentary or something on Turin Shroud, and I remember it being just this sort of magnolia sheet.
Yes.
With just very faint outline of a facial feature on it.
Yes.
And that was pretty much all you could see.
It's like a straw yellow colour.
Yeah.
Kind of. So
Calico.
Calico, that's nice. That's a good name for an aftershave or a perfume.
Or colour.
Yeah. Actually, calico sounds familiar because I'm pretty sure that's the shade my wife has for her foundation. Calico.
Possibly, yeah. It's just like a natural sort of shade, you know. Like magnolia or whatever. Just slightly off-white.
Yes, calico. Sounds lovely. So the Shroud of Turin. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So you can only actually, I should have mentioned when you said about the faint outline.
Yes.
Most people use the negatives of it.
Negatives?
So like the photographic kind of negative.
Oh,
I've
not seen this.
Things. Yeah.
Do you mind if I take a minute to have a look?
You go for it, and I'll explain.
You explain the first paragraph, and I'll.
So, Shroud of Turin, it has been venerated for centuries, especially by members of the Catholic Church, as the actual burial shroud used to wrap the body of Jesus Christ after his crucifixion. The bodily image of Jesus is miraculously imprinted. The human image can be seen more clearly on the shroud when using a black and white photographic negative rather than its natural sepia colour.
And you're dead right. I'm looking at it right now. I'll hold it up to the... that'll be a black and white one. That'll be colour. But no, well, I'll put an image on the screen for the YouTube video, obviously, and I'll make sure that a picture of the Shroud of Turin is the episode artwork for the podcast downloads.
Yeah.
So everybody can actually see what we're talking about. Yeah, that is quite detailed. A lot more detailed than I remember.
That's good. That's good. Burn it into your brain, because I will need you.
Okay.
So the effect of the black and white photographic negative, I don't know why I'm struggling to say photographic today.
Well, it's a word that's longer than 5 letters. So.
Yeah, and it's English. It wasn't discovered until 1898 by Secondo Pia, who produced the first photographs of the shroud.
Oh, okay.
And the Shroud of Turin is actually the most studied artifact in the world of all time to date.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, no other artifact has been studied as much as this. So let's get through the history part.
History.
Yeah.
Always good.
And I got a feeling when I get through this history bit, you might have something to say about this. So the shroud first discovered...
You're getting in my head now.
Oh, yes. The shroud first discovered in 1354
Right.
at the Church of Livy, or Livy, Livey,
Right.
a village in the north of France, well, central north of France, and it was owned by a French knight called Geoffrey de Charny. And
okay.
yeah, I've got bullet points for the history because there's not that much. There is, but there isn't.
Yeah.
There's not many details of it. It's just kind of how it came into.
Yeah, you're right.
So it was denounced.
Geoffrey de Charny.
Yeah, Geoffrey de Charny. And it was denounced of forgery by the Bishop of Troyes in 1389.
A forgery.
Denounced of forgery. So I assume that means that the Bishop of Troyes...
Didn't believe it.
Yeah, I think so.
Or denounced of forgery. That's a very strangely worded sentence.
That's what I got from the website, dude.
Which website did you get this from?
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. Oh, okay.
I think he actually believed
So I think, that denounced of forgery, that to me is a double negative, which means it's a positive, which means he doesn't think that it's a forgery.
Yeah, that's what I got from it, 1389.
Okay.
And then it moved from to the House of Savoy in 1453 and later deposited into a chapel in Chambéry. And then
That's still France, is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it was damaged by fire in 1532.
Careless smokers.
But it's okay. Don't worry. A lovely bunch of nuns repaired it.
Oh, right. They got the old needle and thread out, did they?
Yeah, and they had triangular kind of patterns of different cloth and things and tried to do it as accurately as possible. But you can tell. And why did it burn, I hear you say?
Careless smokers, I'm sure it was.
It was molten silver.
Molten silver?
Yes.
Oh. That's very strange to keep an artifact around molten silver, but,
Oh, well, I assume at this time, maybe it was an artifact, but I don't know if they really cared about it that much. I don't know. It seems...
They've already denounced it of forgery, so...
So in 1578, it moved to Turin, where it has remained ever since. So after it had been repaired from the molten silver, it moved to Turin. And since 1683, it has been kept in the chapel of the Holy Shroud, which was designed for that purpose alone and is connected to both the Royal Palace and the Turin Cathedral.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So now it remains in Turin.
So... No, go on. Yeah, carry on.
So I know what you're thinking, and not yet.
Right.
Not yet. The ownership of the shroud passed from the House of Savoy to the Catholic Church after the death of former King Umberto II in 1983. So...
Oh, right, that's quite recent then.
Yeah, but I think it was in the same place. I think who own the actual ownership of it is now part of the Catholic Church.
Catholic Church has actually taken ownership rather than just housing it.
Yes, yeah, that's the one. So that's pretty much the history, and now I'm going to go into kind of like the explanations of the shroud.
Okay.
If you will, like the research and
I want to hear some of this research, because to me so far it's a long stretch for Jesus's burial cloth to end up in France.
Yep.
Who took it there? Why? When? It was missing for, what was it, 1,300 years? I'm getting my skeptic head on.
There's no explanation for that either.
No.
Yeah, the first they actually discovered it was the French knight.
I'm coming up with a theory here, but I'll let you carry on with the science and the extrapolating the data.
Well, the first bit of debunking, if you will, was microscopist Walter McCrone. So he found, based on examinations of samples taken in 1978.
Ooh.
Oh, he's knocked the mic.
Damn it. That was a real bad one as well. I do apologise at home.
There's no way of editing that one. So based on the samples taken in 1978, that the image on the shroud had been painted with a diluted solution of red ochre pigment, which is clay, iron, and copper kind of mixed together. The apparent blood stains were painted with vermilion pigment, which is mercury. Right. However, McCrone's findings were heavily disputed by other researchers and continues to be debated to this day.
Okay, so it's inconclusive then.
So he's the main guy that in 1978 was trying to prove that it is a hoax. Like it's painted on there. So in 1988, radiocarbon dating by 3 different laboratories established that the shroud, the linen material, was produced between the years 1260 and 1390.
Around about the time it was discovered?
Yeah.
Oh, surprise.
To a 95% confidence level, which corresponds with its first documented appearance in 1354.
Yeah.
So that's also kind of debunking it.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to go for your theory before I start?
Have you got to the end of the dating parts now?
Well, there's a couple of other bits. So Oxford University, the University of Arizona, and the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology say it's too recent to be associated with Jesus. So other universities. And the other thing is the linen cloth is a herringbone weave. Right. How it was made, the cotton and the linen or weave. And apparently that doesn't fit in the timeline of Jesus either.
Ah, okay.
Because that wasn't around in Jerusalem, that way of doing it at that time. So that's pretty much the debunking. There's probably some more little bits that I've missed, but if I see it, I'll say it. But go for your thing.
Okay. I'm going to get hate for this. I'm just going to put that out there. Right, honestly, if you're religious and you believe in this shroud, don't hate me. This is just my theory, okay? That is not Jesus that's on that shroud. For me, my personal beliefs, right? One, like I said before, it's found in Paris. Yeah, that's a long stretch from the Holy Land, from the Middle East, where Jesus actually grew up and lived his life. Mm-hmm. Right? 2, I don't think Jesus actually looks like that.
It has been said.
Yeah, historically, let's look in terms of facts. Jesus was a Jew. And I'm not being mean, I'm not being anti-Semitic or anything like that. He was a Jew. He was mocked by the Romans and called the King of the Jews, and they put a crown of thorns on his head when they went to kill him. Yeah, he was a Jew. And Jews of that time period would have had tan skin, not a white guy, a prominent Jewish nose, should we say, recognisable, short, black, curly hair, and clean shaven. That was the fashion of the time. Remember, this is the time that the Romans were massively in power. That was their fashion. It was a lot of people's fashion. That was just the way that men looked back then. Now, the picture that I've just pulled up on my phone, this one here, that does not look like a Jew from that time period, from that part of the world. In my eyes, to me, that...
I think Jewish people come in all different sizes, shapes and colours.
They do, and I'm not saying that it's 100% impossible that this is Jesus, but that image, to me, looks more like a Viking from Denmark, and it was found closer to Denmark than it was to the Holy Land. Yeah?
Yes.
And at around about the right time period for Vikings.
But it's all speculation, isn't it?
If you told me that was Ragnar Lothbrok, I would believe it more than I believe that that's Jesus. I'm sorry. My personal belief, personal take, probably an unpopular opinion. Apologies to anybody that disagrees. Well, not really apology, but we're going to have to agree to disagree. But
I mean,
at this point in the research, that's my take on it.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I thought, well, what's the point in carrying on when you feel so strongly that it's not Jesus? So maybe my research can sway you a little bit in the other direction and maybe at least give other people hope. So, I mean, all very good points, but I mean, it is speculated that Jesus looked completely different, but I mean, we don't know. We
I would
can
say
only go by what scientists and research have assumed.
I would say that the popular image of Jesus is more due to the Renaissance period of artwork, where they were doing religious pictures, you know, oil paintings and stuff like that. And what they've done is, obviously, we have this unified idea of what God looks like, which is like some big silver-haired man with a big flowing beard. And they've gone, let's just make a younger version of that. That image is taken from Zeus, which is Greek mythology.
Yes.
And that's what they've done. They've just basically gone, well, let's give him brown hair, make him look a bit younger. That is what we consider a nice, peaceful, loving teacher to look like at that time period. But it's totally false, from my personal opinion. And I have had arguments about this with my dad, who is a minister, as you've rightly said.
Yeah. And I reckon you peed all over his cornflakes as well. So
Kind of did, yeah.
Well, we shall continue, and now I've got the challenge of trying to sway you the other way.
Yes, you do.
See if this research...
It's you and Jesus versus me and Ragnar.
Well, I mean, I'm not 100% that this is real. I'm just researching a subject that when I first got to this part, I was the same as you. I was like, I've debunked this already. This is... You know, it's a hoax. But then when I got deeper into it, I'm now like, oh, well, there's some elements of, okay, that's weird, coincidences and things.
Okay, well, let's see what you've got for us then.
Defenders of the authenticity of the shroud have questioned those results, usually on the basis that the samples tested might have been contaminated or taken from a repair of the original fabric. So the edge of the shroud. Oh, but the bit
the nuns fixed.
Yes, rather than the centre of the shroud.
Okay.
So that is one thing that goes against it. Currently, the Catholic Church neither endorses nor rejects the authenticity of the shroud as a relic of Jesus.
So they own it, but they don't. They're not saying for or against.
Yes, but over the years, because we're talking thousands of years, popes and priests have said they believe that it was possibly an artist that created the shroud, while other popes and priests believe that it is genuine and it is authentic. So you've got even popes and priests fighting amongst themselves in their own religion about it.
I'm going to state here now that I don't think it's necessarily painted on or it's not been hoaxed. I just think it's a misidentification.
Okay.
Well, that's what I think. It was probably a very prominent Viking or someone of Danish descent, something like that. But that's just my logical brain thinking.
Okay, well, I'm going to change that. So, front and back view of a naked man with his hands folded across his groin. The two views are aligned along the mid-plane of the body and the point opposite directions. So the front and back views of the head nearly meet at the middle of the cloth. So the way to describe this is like if you've got a huge rectangle, you've put the body at the bottom of the rectangle and then folded it over the head down to the toes.
Oh, right, okay.
Is the way of how it was kind of laid out.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around. I thought they'd laid him across it widthways and then folded it over sideways.
Yeah, lengthways.
Okay, fair enough.
So, as we've said, the image without the negative photography is like straw yellow colour, and it's very hard to see.
Very faint, very, very faint.
And it appears, obviously, everyone knows what Jesus. Well, we've just discussed it, but the image does show a beard, moustache with shoulder-length hair, hair parted in the middle.
Kind of looks like me.
Yeah.
Without the bandana.
Yeah, and so it was muscular and tall. And when I say tall, it says estimated anywhere between 5'7" and 6'2". So,
what?
Yeah,
Estimated?
Yeah,
It's right there. Measure it.
No, because the proportions are slightly out. If you were to like cover someone in a cloth, you're not necessarily going to get the spot on accuracy, if you know what I mean. Like when
you can get it closer than a foot. Well, so what's that? 6 inches, 7 inches.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So reddish brown stains are found on the cloth, correlating with the wounds in the biblical description of the crucifixion of Jesus. So
stigmata sort of thing. Yeah, okay.
So there are obviously marks on the wrists, through the feet. There's also whip marks from when he was whipped.
Yeah.
There are small indentations on the crown, as if the thorns were
thorns,
there.
Okay.
And the biggest one is when they done the like high definition kind of, because I will get into it in a minute, but the amount of technology and stuff, because it's still disputed. They've tried everything to see whether this is real or not. You can actually see a wound in the ribs of the man on the shroud.
Where he was speared in the side.
By a Roman soldier.
Mm-hmm.
So
Pontius Pilate.
Yes. So on Holy Saturday, which was the 30th of March 2013, images of the shroud were streamed on various websites as well as on television for the first time in 40 years. So this is the first time as well where they had high definition images that could be seen in more detail. They also made like 3D kind of prints of it, models, so you could actually proper get the detail on there. This actually made more researchers and believers more to the side of how it's authentic rather than being hoax, because you could see the detail in it. So to dive into the studies a little bit more, just to give you an idea of the things that they did to try and disprove this, is they had a team of 11 experts. 5 of those were genuine scientists. They had aerospace scientists and photographers. They had other teams of scientists. They had a team of 30 experts of different fields between the years of 1977 and 1978, and it was a group called STURP, which stands for the Shroud of Turin Research Project. That's where the first guy, Walter McCrone, comes from.
Okay.
Yeah, STURP. So 3D high resolutions were taken. They also used NASA technology as part of this. And Mark Anderson, working with Walter McCrone, was the top expert on the team. And he actually concluded that the samples were organic material, not the painted on.
Not the mercury and stuff and chemicals that the other guy claimed.
Yeah, so he used partly laser technology and other tests to dive into it.
Yeah.
And yeah, he came up to the conclusion that it was organic material. So it wasn't iron, wasn't painted on, it was organic. So because of that, McCrone then resigned from STURP in 1980 and gave back all of his samples and research to the
crew.
To STURP.
Okay.
Yeah.
STURP.
With the Shroud of Turin, there is comparison to other ancient textiles, showed that iron itself was not the source of the image on the shroud. And DNA testing found examples of organic matter on the shroud, some being plant DNA, but the plant DNA comes from Mediterranean countries, including Africa and the Middle East. And they actually found a haplogroup of DNA, which is a single line of descent.
Yeah.
So that goes into the whole Mary and Jesus with the one line of descent.
Have they confirmed it?
Well, yeah.
They've confirmed that single line of descent is actually Jesus.
No, not that part. Oh. They've just found. I'm guessing the DNA is so small, but they have found DNA on there. They found traces of blood.
Well, it's like, as I explained a couple of weeks ago about DNA, it's got a half-life of 500 years. Jesus was around 2,000 years ago. Any DNA that you find, it may not even show up as human.
Well, there you go. They did find plant DNA, and
yeah.
They've also. It's obviously. Oh, I've knocked it. I'm off.
Oh no,
I'm back on.
I'm back on.
It's also had contact with many people over the years. So that is slightly debunking it. But obviously with the line of one descent, it does kind of fit in with the religious beliefs a bit more.
Yeah.
The edge of the cloth was tested, not where the image is. The image is also just on the top layer of the shroud.
It hasn't soaked through?
It hasn't soaked through. It is just on the top of the actual shroud.
That's odd.
Yeah, they reckon it. Well, they reckon. One explanation could be particle radiation. I didn't know that was a thing, but that is one explanation.
How does that explain it?
I don't know, because we're not doing a podcast on particle radiation, so I couldn't tell you. Some of the pollen and dust traces had ties to Turkey and Jerusalem. Max Free, he had 58 samples, and he was the guy that discovered that certain pollens and dust was only from Turkey and Jerusalem. Right. There was a picture called the Prey Codex from 1192, and this is another reason why people think that the carbon dating is wrong. There is a picture called the Prey Codex from 1192, and it shows the burial of Jesus in a linen cloth with 4 poker holes, which match the unique burn holes in the shroud from the silver. So they're saying that the Prey Codex would have been painted after the shroud. So they would have had the inspiration.
Yeah, it was painted 1,000 years after the shroud.
That's just an example. And then, are you ready?
So again, that's as reliable as the Renaissance period artwork, really, isn't it?
Are you ready for the big one?
Go on.
So
shock me.
They found traces of a certain limestone called travertine aragonite, and it's a specific limestone found in Jerusalem, and it matched the unique signature of limestone from the area of Damascus Gate, which is the closest gate to Golgotha, which is where Jesus is believed to have been crucified.
Okay.
And that's all I got on the Turin Shroud.
Well,
I was feeling more confident about it before you went off on a rant, and now I don't believe it.
Right, okay. Well, the pollen and dust and that sort of thing, it can be explained by just natural weather patterns, can't it? I mean, here in England, we get dust from the Sahara every summer.
Yeah, true.
You know, weather circulates, it could blow dust. And you've told me that there's dust that is from Damascus and Jerusalem, Turkey sort of area. There could also be dust from China, but it hasn't mentioned that. Do you know what I mean? There could be dust from all over the place.
Yeah.
Also, quick side note.
Yeah.
What was Jesus' occupation?
Carpenter.
Was it?
Yeah, that's as far
in
as
the
I
original
know.
Hebrew translation, it should translate as skilled tradesman, not carpenter. You look at a picture of Jerusalem and tell me how many wooden houses you see.
Well, maybe he was making picnic tables.
It's more likely that he was a stone cutter or a bricklayer.
But I suppose carpentry is a trade.
It's a skilled
skill,
trade.
Isn't it? Yeah. That is a good point.
Again,
I've never really thought about how
Western
much wood.
culture putting ideals onto something that isn't actually from Western culture. You know, that's the way I believe it. There's a lot of speculation about Jesus. What we do know is Jesus was definitely a real man.
Yes,
you know, it's documented historical fact. Definitely a real man, an influential man. Mm-hmm. You know, he was a celebrity, big celebrity of his time.
Some would say the biggest celebrity.
The biggest. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm still torn on it. I still think that picture looks more likely to be a Viking or some kind of, you know, a prominent warrior, perhaps.
I think we'd need to see how Vikings were buried.
Well, like a Viking lord would be put on a ship, and then they set fire to the ship. So they kind of set fire. They're kind of cremated and left to like go into the sea or the rivers or whatever. But as for lower level Vikings, I don't know.
Maybe a shroud.
Maybe a shroud, a burial. Who knows? I don't know. But to me, I just it's a long stretch to put that sheet of cloth has come from the Holy Land for whatever reason. It's been taken. It's unwrapped. They've unwrapped Jesus to start with, kept the wrapping intact.
Well, it would have been bones, wouldn't it?
Well, who knows? I don't know how long after his death that they actually unwrapped him.
Yeah.
I mean, he disappeared for 3 days. So, but for them to take it from sort of Jerusalem area, the Middle East, the Holy Land, the cradle of humanity, if you like, and cart it all the way over to France, then bring it back to Italy, and it still hasn't reached its home destination, if Jesus' land is its home destination. Yeah, I just don't see it, man. I just think that would more likely be Ragnar Lothbrok or one of his crew rather than Jesus of Nazareth. That's my take on it.
Well, I thought at first, it's a load of rubbish. It's debunked. And then when I started reading about the limestone and the pollen that's going to fall, and the dust and things like that, the few coincidences and the wounds on the match the Bible and certain things, it's been a very clashy episode, everyone. We apologise.
I haven't done that clamp up, that's why that's happening. I'm just trying to adjust my mic. I'm sorry, people.
And there's certain coincidences that I can't fully say I've debunked it, because there is a few things, but I feel like what's happened today is I've woken up and I've got a lovely bowl of Cocoa Pops and I've put some fresh cow's milk on it. And then I've said, Pirate, do you want a spoon? And you're like, yeah, go on then. And you've taken my spoon and you've thrown it out the window. And then you've pulled your trousers down and said, actually, I'll go to the toilet while I'm here. And then you've taken a huge dump in my Cocoa Pops.
I'm giving you one big Cocoa Pop.
And now I'm eating Cocoa Pops covered in turds. And I'm going, oh, actually, yeah, you're right, Pirate. This is a load of feces, isn't it? That's basically what's happened. So now I feel like I don't believe it as much as I did. I was already 50-50 on it. And now I'm not too sure. Because I think some of the stuff you've said is actually makes logical sense. So, and also I'm not religious, so it means bugger all to me, mate. Like,
I know.
I'm just kind of trying to give a bit of hope to the Christians and the people and the Catholics that do believe in it.
And I'm sorry to all those Christians, people, or anybody that actually believes that that image on that shroud, that material is Jesus Christ. For me personally, I don't see it myself. I just don't. I'm honestly.
I honestly think it's just a bit like an artist's work. I really do.
I just think it's a big misunderstanding. 3 out of 10 is about as best as I can do, man. I'm sorry.
3 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fair to be honest. That's generous, if anything. What do I give it on the scale? I mean, I even tried to play devil's avocado and was like, oh, no, I'll actually try and sway.
You've been bigging it up to me all day, and I've been like, oh, I'll keep stum. Yeah. And then we get to this, and it's like, you're not proving nothing to me, man. I'm sorry.
I'd try and sway in the direction and try and be part of the Christian and Catholic crew today. But no, you're right. It's a steaming pile of shroud.
Steaming pile of anything.
It is a steaming pile of shroud.
No, if you believe in this, this is a genuine thing, an artifact of Jesus, more power to you. You should have faith in your faith. That's what religion is all about. There's no proof. There's no scientific studies that you can do to prove religion or prove that God is real or anything like that. So it's all down to personal faith, personal opinion. And if this, to you at home listening, if you really believe that the Shroud of Turin is Jesus, then for you it's Jesus, and you shouldn't even question it. You shouldn't second guess it. For me, and probably a lot of other people out there, you need more logical conjecture, scientific evidence, and they've done a lot of science, they've done a lot of tests, but to me it's still inconclusive. And to me, that image that I've now for the first time seen in high definition, because I've only ever seen grainy, horrible footage on the TV 30 years ago. No, I just don't believe it.
Well, if you're giving it a 3, I'll give it a 4.
A 4.
Yeah.
So 3.5 out of 10 for the
Yeah.
Shroud of Turin.
Because it is still the most studied artifact in the world. So there's got to be a little seed of something they're not sure on or whatever. But yeah, it's not looking good. So
I think like where you've said about like the crown of thorns, there's evidence for the crown of thorns. There's evidence for the nails through the wrist and the legs, and that's all. There's blood on a shroud. Well, there's likely to be blood on a shroud anyway if it was containing a dead body. And I think sometimes when you're looking for something, you see it when it's not there.
Humans do that by nature, don't they?
Yeah, look at clouds and see faces. You know.
Yeah.
And that's the way I think it's happened. Is a lot of people wanted it to be Jesus so much, so badly, that they've just convinced themselves that it is.
It's like when they see the Virgin Mary in a slice of burnt toast.
Yeah.
And they preserve the toast. So, no, I get it. Yeah, that's the Shroud of Turin, everyone.
3.5. Sorry, Christians. Sorry, Pope.
Yeah.
But anyway, on another note, we have actually sent out the first of our limited edition Paranormality bandanas.
Yes.
And it was a guy who was actually on the podcast just a few weeks ago, Mike Pudlow Umney. You remember the Bigfoot guy?
Yeah.
The Bigfoot book? Well, after the show, I was chatting to him on email, and he told me that he'd been to our merch site, tried to buy a T-shirt, couldn't find one in his size. Sorry, Mike, I'm going to try and sort that out for you. And then he tried to look for a bandana. He was disappointed that we didn't have bandanas, because, I wear a bandana. And then I said to him, well, no, sorry, my merch doesn't do bandanas, but we do have some limited edition ones on Patreon. And he just went and signed up to Patreon.
Nice.
So we have our first Patreon. Everybody else, you're a loser. Sorry, we got the first one. You can still be part of the first 10 and still get a bandana if you want one. But yeah, we have actually shipped out that first one. Patreon is now active. We are going to be making extra effort to put extra content on Patreon for all the people that do join us and support us financially that way. Thank you so much for your contribution, because it means the world to us. And you also had a shout out for someone else.
Yes. Are we talking about old Beans?
Beans. He bought this T-shirt that I'm wearing right now.
Yeah.
He's bought one.
Yes.
Because he's a good old boy and he wanted to support the podcast. So he bought a T-shirt. I hope it's going to fit him.
Yeah, I think so.
I hope so.
Yeah. But yeah, shout out to Beans. Good old boy. Cheers, mate. And yeah, we've sold a few T-shirts and things, so it's doing all right.
Yeah, starting to pick up. We're starting to get somewhere.
Yeah. But go check it out anyway.
Yeah, go check it out. Merch, Patreon, whatever. In fact, I'm literally doing like a call to action this week. You can go and sort that. You can go and check out whatever you want. But this week, I wanted to advertise our 100th episode. It is coming up. Yeah?
Yes.
This is, I think, episode 86. When I looked at it earlier, I've worked it out that episode 100 will publish on the 2nd of September. Which means we're going to be recording it on the 1st of September. That'd be a Sunday, and we're going to live stream it on YouTube, and we want everybody to come and give us some support, join the party, come along. Sunday is the 1st of September. Sunday 1st. Josh is going to pick the time. We'll get to the time on a later date, but yeah.
I think we might have to edit this.
Why?
Because I think I'm away that week. I'm
Are you?
on holiday.
Are you on holiday?
I'm pretty sure. I'll have to double check. We'll have to.
You have to rebook your holiday.
We'll have to edit this bit. When you said the 1st of September, it rung a bell. Because I've booked the last week of August off.
Oh, no, you haven't, have you? Have you?
I can double check right now. Either way, we will sort something out.
I'm going to have to edit this now.
That's all right. I'll tell you what. Should we... I don't know where we go from here. I've messed it all up.
I don't know either now. It's going to be the 1st of September. It's got to be, because if we're live streaming it and then it's going to be available for audio download the very next day, Monday morning, as normal. That was our plan. Josh may have messed it up.
Oh, no, I'm off August the 27th to the 30th.
Okay, yes, we can still do the 1st of September.
Yeah.
Nearly threw a spanner in the works. Then.
Yes, yeah, almost.
It's kind of my fault for not figuring out when it was going to be a lot sooner. But I did look it up before the show, and yeah, it's 1st of September to live stream it. 2nd September it will be available for audio download in case you can't be there at the time. But we hope you will, because it's going to be a good party. We're going to have an awesome time. We've got plenty of ideas already.
Yeah,
in
got
the
some
work,
good ones.
in the
Some
making.
good ideas. Yeah, some messed up my word there. Surprises
Yes.
is the word I was going to say.
Yes.
I was that excited. I messed up surprises.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be a hoot.
It is. And so we hope to see you then. And till then, I've been Pirate.
I'm Josh.
This has been Paranormality UK. Ta-ta.
Ta-ta.